Welcome to episode 67 of the Breaking Balls podcast. Bob, it's Championship Sunday. Only 2 football games today, but we knew the outcome all too well before they started. We've got Taylor Swift versus Olivia Culpo in the Super Bowl.
Yep, and if you're listening with your girlfriend, she can explain that joke for you. But we got 2 good games we can break down. We've got some 24 hours out at Daytona. NASCAR is going to be on Netflix and in LA. We're going full Hollywood here at Breaking Balls.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 67 of the Breaking Balls podcast. Well, we just watched the NFC Championship game, Bob, so I guess we should start there. Championship Sunday. And the Lions just gave us so much hope. It looked like Dan Campbell was going to be biting kneecaps all the way to Las Vegas. And then the second half happened. I mean, just an absolutely, I don't know if you want to call it a collapse, a comeback. We could talk about that a little bit, Bob, but here we are. The Niners are going to the Super Bowl.
The Niners are going to the Super Bowl. We've got the Chiefs on the other side that we'll get into that later, obviously. We'll talk some racing here at the end because this is Breaking Balls. But yeah, the Lions snatched hope from all of us, it feels like, here in America. Kind of like us at Breaking Balls did for, 6 months to our fans. But then, we're back. We're back. So maybe the Lions will be back next year. Fortunately, the Lions fans are going to have to wait about, give or take 6 more months until their team's back on the practice field. So pretty fitting there. But it was a good game. It feels like it was a tale of 2 halves. We can obviously get into that, but I just feel like you're looking at it from the perspective of Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy in a game to go to the Super Bowl. And I still have to kind of warp my mind around it. We're at this point in the NFL calendar where we're booking Super Bowl tickets, but we're booking them for Brock Purdy or Jared Goff. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought, it's a quarterback-driven league. Those are the guys who get the money. And at the end of the day, we ended up with the blockbuster matchup in the NFC Championship game of Brock Purdy and Jared Goff. Jared Goff, who I'm not convinced can throw a spiral anymore. It's effective. It's not pretty, but it is effective. A lot like, I'll stop that joke right there. But, I just think... at the end of the day, Bob, the first half, the Lions were dominant. I mean, it looked like they could do whatever they wanted. They were running the ball at will. I mean, the middle of that San Francisco 49ers defense just looked atrocious in the first half. Nothing was going for them. It looked like the Lions were going to do whatever they wanted. And I still am having a hard time wrapping my head around what happened in this game, because it's like, you had C.J. Gardner-Johnson waving goodbye at the first half. Tough look, buddy. But it just doesn't... I don't know, man. Do you have anything that can make this make a little more sense for me?
Well, you look at the first half and what the Lions were doing well. They were getting the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was absolutely a monster in that game for them. He has been all season, but he felt like he was a yak monster, especially in the middle of the field, those short yardage throws with Goff. And then Sam Laporte obviously has been a huge addition as a rookie this year, their tight end. But then also, you mentioned it, they were gashing them in the run game, whether it was Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. Even in the second half, that third quarter when they were moving the ball and getting those drives together, they were getting a push up front. And then once the momentum shifted, you get that Brandon Ayuk kind of circus catch where it goes off the DB back into his hands. It was a wild play, but that kind of did shift the momentum where the Lions weren't getting that push anymore. San Francisco kind of woke up. They had a 17-point third quarter where the crowd got back into it. You come back from the broadcast and the commentators aren't saying anything. They're letting the crowd do the noise. That's when things are a different level over there. So, San Francisco definitely the better team, it feels like, in theory. They were 6-7 point favorites coming into this game. Weathered that early storm from Detroit. That's the biggest thing, Ad. And Detroit definitely didn't help themselves. We can talk about Dan Campbell's decision-making in the second half. There were 2 drives especially that, they went for it when you could have taken points. And it's a 3-point game at the end of the day. And playoff football, Ad, you can attest to that, is all about the little plays, and it adds up. It's not just one play here or there. Playoff football is the little decisions that make a difference down the line.
Yep, I believe it was Al Pacino and Any Given Sunday. The inches we need are everywhere. And for the Lions, they were definitely out there tonight. They just weren't able to grab the extra inches they needed. Kind of another joke that I'm not going to continue. But anyway, I I think the craziest thing about this was it was so dominant. Like it literally was. It was Dan Campbell's personality in the first half, and I don't know if the Lions lost this game or the Niners won it. I'm not even necessarily sure if I'll have the answer to that for a long time. But
I think it's
I
both.
I think it's a little column A, a little column B. But at the end of the day, the more things change in the NFL, the more they stay the same. We knew the Niners were going to be this team all year. I think everybody's big question mark was, okay, what happens if the Niners go down early in a game and the other team, they get the ball run down their throat like they did in the first half? And everybody kind of wondered, what was that going to do? Does that change the offense? Does Brock Purdy, when they have to lean on Brock Purdy, is he going to be able to take that pressure? Is he going to hold up? And for all intents and purposes, he has. And I think eventually, as we even made the joke at the beginning of, it's Brock Purdy and Jared Goff, but at the end of the day, Brock Purdy keeps showing up and doing just enough to win these games. And, at the end of the day, I don't love it. I don't love it. I'm not a big fan of the Niners. I'm going to say that. I'm not excited to hear all the crap I'm going to have to hear about how, if the Brock Purdy was healthy last year with the Eagles, completely different year. But regardless, that team, they did what they needed to do to win the game. Just to be able to even stay mentally in that game to make that comeback in the second half, it's just a testament to what they've got going in that locker room. Very excited to see how they fare in the Super Bowl, but I guess I shouldn't be shocked that they're there, but it still does kind of feel surprising, especially after what we saw in the first half.
I think the two go hand in hand a little bit, where you saw them get rattled in the first half, but they come back. This is a team that under Kyle Shanahan, the last 6 years or so since he's been there, that tenure with him and the GM Fox, it's just it's been one of those things where they're a battle-tested team. They've got the scars to prove it. And yeah, they may not have a Super Bowl championship to show for it like Kansas City does. And we'll get to that later. But similar MO with Kansas City. These teams are veteran-led. They've been in playoff situations before in the last few years. They've been on the big stage. And yeah, you mentioned it. I wasn't going to, but obviously the Niners last year were in the title game, the NFC title game. Similar scenario, except for, their quarterback goes down. Well, this time you have Brock Purdy in full. And people said, can Brock Purdy actually get them to the hump over the Super Bowl? Played a damn good game today, especially in that second half. There were multiple times where he was calm, cool. The pass rush was getting to him, and he slipped through. He got a couple, 10-yard runs, 15-yard runs, some checkdowns, got Kittle involved late. Ayuk is obviously just a monster. The guy is just a physical specimen. He wants to rip your head off, whether he's running the ball, blocking you. He's fun to watch. Then obviously, we didn't even mention Christian McCaffrey. And you said it, Ad, once they were down, they stuck with the run game. They kept sprinkling in McCaffrey, the short throws with Purdy to keep him confident. Ad, it was a veteran team that battled back because they've got the scars to prove it, and they wanted it more at the end of the day. The Lions may get back there. Dan Campbell said in the locker room after the game, this may be our only chance. I'd like to think opposite, but it just shows the Lions, this was their first time on that big stage, and the Niners were ready for it, unfortunately. They were the ones that didn't waver when they needed to in that second half.
Yeah, for all of the beatings that Kyle Shanahan has taken over the years of, can't get him over the hump,
28-3.
You mentioned, yeah, 28-3, exactly. There's a lot of there's a lot of bulletin board material for that argument if you care to make it, but to see them buckle down and just I still can't quite exactly wrap my head around what I saw. I'm mad about it, which probably doesn't help, but I'm just gonna be.
There's
I'm
one thing, Ad, real quick.
Hold on, hold on, because as good as Kyle Shanahan was in that second half, I love Dan Campbell. I think it's important to mention that, but at some point, don't be aggressive for aggressive's sake. You have to have you have to have your finger on the pulse of the game and understand, look, this isn't week 4 in Miami or week, wherever the heck you are in the regular season. This is the NFC Championship game. You're playing the second, the first or second best team. You're playing to figure it out in your conference. That you can't do that. You can't go and, I'm just going to roll the dice. I get it. It's part of what got them there. And I you don't want to lose too much of your identity because of the situation, but you got to take the points in the playoffs, right, Bob?
Yeah, I think so, especially in a game where you're the underdog. Obviously, the underdog isn't going to beat you by kicking field goals, but you know, when you're in obvious situations where it's the end of the half, or you're in fringe field goal range, and it's about a 30, 35, 40 yarder. If you're in control already, you're up 2-3 scores. What's the point of going for it there? Now, obviously when it's late in that fourth quarter and they go for it, when it's down 3, hindsight's always the right call. It's always 2020. I get like you said, that's their MO, that's how they got there. But playoff football's different, man. It is a game of inches, and in the playoffs, like we said, it's those little plays that add up. And when you have an opportunity to get points, you got to take them, especially against a Niners team like that. When you've got the opportunity to put the momentum down again, to put the foot on the throat, quiet the crowd. Instead, you're going up against a ferocious defense, and they made it count tonight. The Lions just didn't make enough plays, unfortunately. That sucks because they were up 3 possessions in the first half. Like you said, CJ Gardner-Johnson was waving to the crowd. Bold to do that at halftime. I digress.
Yeah.
It's just it just felt like they were so close, but like I said, the Niners, they've seen this before.
And it's also one of those things to where we kept watching the Lions grow up before our eyes this entire season. I feel like every week to week, every time the media or whoever was asking, okay, are the Lions going to take the next step? They just did. It seemed like they were constantly taking that next step that everybody was wondering, okay, can they take that next step? Can they take it? And it looked like they did all year. It looked like they were going to take the final step into the Super Bowl in the first half, but here we are, whatever. But Bob, there was
Listen,
a football game.
Michigan people don't get that lucky back to back with the Wolverines and then the Lions. Okay, there's just God doesn't love Michigan that much. Okay,
God loves Michigan enough to give you a 2-mile track, 2-mile oval, and that's all I really care about. I miss the Auto Club more than I care to admit. Anyway, Bob, there was another football game today.
oh, was there?
Yes, I'm not sure if you knew this, but Taylor Swift's boyfriend decided to go to Baltimore and play a football game, and it turns out his team's pretty good, and they won. I guess Taylor Swift, in her first year in the NFL, is going to the Super Bowl 1-for-1, 1,000%, 1,000% conversion rate. Taylor Swift is elite.
Are you done? Are you done?
I mean, I don't know. I guess we could call it mine. We could call it ours. I mean, you could say I'm a fearless lover of Taylor Swift. I don't know. We could do this all you want. We could keep going. Or wait, is this delicate? I'm confused. Is this podcast getting delicate now?
Let's talk about the AFC Championship game, man. Let's talk about it. We'll get into the circus later. I'll talk about that later. But Patrick Mahomes is a damn good football player. Can we talk about that?
Yes, Patrick Mahomes is still very good at football. If you're playing zone defense against Patrick Mahomes, don't. That would be my advice. He just picked apart the zones basically all day. I mean, the first half, it looked like they were comfortably moving the ball at will. Isaiah Pacheco runs so fucking hard. Like, there's no, like, it's just, he runs so hard. And to break through arm tackles, I mean, he is every 75-year-old Pop Warner coach's dream. The dude who just sits there and yells at you to run hard and to pound the hole and to keep moving and just run through the hole even if it's not there. That's what Isaiah Pacheco does, and it was cool to watch. But if you're surprised, no, you're not. Um, as the idiot who decided the Chiefs weren't going to win the AFC West last year, I learned my lesson pretty early on. And look, they're here. They're going to stay here. I think it's appropriate to start comparing. Not quite, not quite okay. Like they're better than, but it's time to start the conversation with the Chiefs and the Patriots. It's going to be an interesting few years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Mahomes is in his 6th season in the NFL and has been to the Super Bowl now 4 times, counting this year. I mean, that's ridiculous. Most players don't even get to 1 or 2 Super Bowls in their career, let alone 4 in their first 6. So it's unprecedented. Obviously, Travis Kelce with an incredible performance. They were on that connection was just really solid early, especially. It seemed like Baltimore's defense definitely buckled down in that second half, but we can talk about it now. We can talk about it later. I was right. Lamar Jackson. I was right. Just saying that.
For those of you who don't know what Bob is saying right now, Bob has stood on what I can only call after today firm business. I don't want it to be right. I never really agreed with the take, but Bob, today you do get to catch your flowers because Lamar Jackson didn't look good, and there was a lot of overthrown balls. There was a lot of meat left on the bone, we'll say, Bob. But go ahead. This is your soapbox. The floor is yours.
When Lamar threw that pick into triple coverage, when you're down 7 in the AFC title game, and really you've played pretty good for being down as bad as it is. I mean, they've had the fumble into the end zone, just multiple penalties, some that were 50-50, some that were just so self-inflicted, just ridiculous on Baltimore being aggressive. But you get the triple pick coverage, or the triple coverage pick, and I felt like Omar from The Wire whistling, going to my phone, just thinking Lamar Jackson playoff choker again. Just it was a very poetic moment where the guy who everyone says, oh, he's different this year. He's Pat, and Jeff Monken, the OC, came from Georgia, made Stetson Bennett look like an absolute phenom down in Georgia. Definitely made Lamar a better passer this year. That offense took a step. You can tell how elite they were. But again, when that team was down 2 possessions, Lamar Jackson couldn't get it done throwing the ball. It's a playoff narrative, whether it's fair or not. And it's something that I've been on since he's gotten the NFL. He's an incredible athlete. But when you're down in the playoff game, he can't win that game. And again, today is just another example. So give me the flowers, people. I was right. Baltimore fans that called me names on Twitter last year, I want receipts. I'm back.
I would not be handing you your Trey flowers. But, Bob, the weird thing about the Ravens is at no point in this game did I feel like they were going to win. And it was for different reasons at different points in the game. For the first part of it was the offense just didn't necessarily seem like they were going to get anything going. But then as the game went on, it was just a discipline issue. I mean, it seemed like they were so obsessed with the idea that they needed to kick the shit out of the Chiefs that they forgot that they just needed to beat them at football. And football's a very violent and physical and passionate game, and I get that. Believe me, I have more personal fouls than I ever care to admit in my 17 years of football. But in those situations, you can't lose your cool. The second guy, every coach has told me, the second guy always gets caught. And the Travis Kelce incident, where they're pushing and shoving and that type of thing with Roquan Smith, and I hate Travis Kelce. I'll say that out loud. I always have. I love. As much as I love Jason Kelce, I hate Travis Kelce, which is an interesting thing to say out loud for me. But it got to the point where it's like you can't keep Bud Dwyering yourself the entire game and expect to somehow win the football game. It's just not going to happen. They consistently, they were somehow shooting themselves in the head and then would get up. And instead of walking, going and maybe shooting the gun at somebody else, they decided to just keep shooting themselves in the head. So they Bud Dwyer themselves at least 8 times in this game, Bob. It's crazy.
If you're confused as a listener right now, Google Bud Dwyer. Don't watch the video. Let's move on from that part. There are very few times I get speechless on this podcast, and I think we're about there. Just wow. The one big takeaway from this, and some people say it, some people don't. Let's reel this thing back in here. Damn it. The Chiefs defense is elite too. I mean, they are just some dogs out there. And it obviously, Mahomes is Mahomes. The offensive line protects him, but that Chiefs defense is elite. And it has been all year, but really, especially this playoff run, the way they've done to Josh Allen, the way they made the Dolphins look at the freezing cold, and now holding Lamar Jackson, that run game, especially, just to non-existent numbers. I mean, it really is impressive what that Chiefs defense is for a team that is known for their offense. Usually, this is not your typical Chiefs team.
No, I just think the way they play defense, they're just, Spag's just so aggressive with everything he does defensively, and I think it just makes people uncomfortable. It certainly made Lamar Jackson uncomfortable all day. The coolest part about this game for me, Bob, was it just seemed like we were watching. The first half didn't feel real. It just felt like we were watching highlight reel after highlight reel play because, at the end of the day, we were treated to watching Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, 2 of the best athletes of the NFL, play each other. And it was cool. I wish I wish Lamar would have shown a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm not quite all the way out on this Ravens team, Bob. I think if Lamar Jackson can get a little bit better, I know you're going to say that's impossible, but I think they've got some good things going. I think Isaiah Likely kind of emerging with Mark Andrews being hurt. I think that's going to help them in the long run. I think, it just seemed like for the first year where we all looked at the Ravens and said, hey, maybe they've got enough weapons to actually do this thing. They put up a decent performance. It's just, close but no cigar. It's a real bummer. I think the country was rooting for the Ravens, let's be honest, but not even the united strength of this nation could have the Ravens beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So if that's not going to do it, I don't know what will.
It was a very strange thing to almost be upset when the Ravens threw that pick and you realize the Chiefs were moving on. And listen, there's good Chiefs fans out there, but I'm just obviously you want some new blood in there too. I think that's part of it, but it just feels like the Chiefs fans, a lot of them have become entitled, and nothing wrong with that. Listen, you're 4 out of 6 Super Bowls. I understand it. Entitlement rubs me the wrong way as a fan who's never had success. So listen, I'm definitely jealous. I'm going to admit that. But I might as well clear my throat here because you did mention the entire country was rooting for the Ravens. I've held my tongue. We've been off for 6 months on this podcast. So we weren't able to talk about it. And I've done good. She's been at 12 games so far. I've done good. But I think I'm ready to throw in the towel, Ad. I'm ready to be Clay Travis for the moment. I'm ready to just do the Aaron Rodgers vaccine thing for a minute here. Okay? I'm sorry. Is there anything you need to say before I walk into the valley of the shadow of evil? I'm ready to declare war.
I guess just don't say anything about Jimmy Kimmel because I don't want him to sue us, but whatever. Keep going.
Jimmy Kimmel and Brett Favre, off limits. Noted. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am ready to declare war on the Kansas City Circus. I'm not even calling them the Chiefs anymore. It's the Kansas City Circus, okay? When your pregame highlight reel shows Jason Kelce, and Jason Kelce's not on either of these teams, folks. Jason Kelce's a Philadelphia Eagle. When your first thought isn't to show Andy Reid celebrating or Patrick Mahomes celebrating after Travis Kelce scored the first touchdown today. No, they showed Taylor Swift. And when they went to break, they showed Taylor Swift again in slow-mo. It's not their fault. It's the way it's covered. I understand. And the feverish way people react one way or the other. And I'm giving them what they want. I understand. I'm tired of not taking the bait, though. I'm taking the bait. I'm taking the cheese. I'm being the rat. Whether it's Jason Kelce, whether it's Travis Kelce, whether it's Taylor Swift, who's not even the best thing to come out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, not even on this peninsula in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Whether it's Patrick Mahomes, Brittany Mahomes, Sam Muttman, Britt Reed, Andy Reid. No. I am putting my foot down. I'm done with it. I can't handle it anymore, Ad. The circus needs to stop. We need to watch football.
Is it over now?
It's never over. The fight's just
Bob,
beginning.
It seems as if you've become the anti-hero of Kansas City. I don't know. You feel
These
a little
puns
chilly?
don't work on me. I don't understand these references.
What reference? I don't know what you're talking about. What references are you talking about?
Gonna pop a blood vessel.
What do you mean?
I open my phone. She's there. I open Instagram. I open Twitter. I open ESPN. She's there. I can't take it anymore. I don't even like Donna Kelce anymore.
Oh, God. Hey. Come
I know.
on.
This is a saint. I love Donna, but I can't stand the sight of her right now.
You need a cardigan because you need to warm up your chilly heart. Okay? At this point, I don't know, Bob. When you're 15
if it's not from Fearless or the self-titled album, I'm not going to understand the reference, Ad.
All right. You could tell your friends that I'm obsessive. That's fine. I'll tell mine that you're gay. Because Taylor Swift said people were gay. And that's why we're going to move on.
Do not make me endorse Maddie Healy on this podcast. I won't go there yet. But don't make me, Swift fans. I'm ready for war. These next 2 weeks in the Super Bowl and in the Clash episode in between. Listen, all I'm saying is Taylor Swift, stay away from NASCAR. If you go anywhere near Austin Cindric or I don't even know a single driver out there right now. Chase Elliott. Oh my God. If Taylor Swift can you imagine Taylor Swift at the Dawsonville pool room?
In a perfect world,
those two fan bases together. Oh my God.
No, it would be insufferable. That would actually be terrible. I'm thinking about it now.
I gotta come back to reality. I gotta come back to reality here, Ad, because it's not their fault. Like I said, I really do have to make it is not their fault. It's the way it's covered. I'm sure they're good people. I'm tired of the cycle, and that's more of the who's covering it. I get it. I'm ready for war.
I mean, it's one of these things when regretfully when one of the best tight ends in the NFL is dating a woman whose tour produced, more money than the GDP of most mid-sized countries, it's just we're going to have to see her. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense. I mean, she doesn't even necessarily want to be on screen. Hypothetically, we could talk more about that. Just kidding. We don't have to.
Are we lip reading? Are we lip reading?
No. Yeah, we're not lip reading. We're not lip reading. No, we are not lip reading. But Bob, the one thing that I didn't even need to necessarily lip read tonight was an announcement was made on Fox that the Clash at the Coliseum, Bob, it's coming next week to Los Angeles, and lucky for you, as far as billionaire celebrities go, or celebrities with incredibly high net worth, we did not get assigned Taylor Swift for the Clash. We got assigned Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is going to be the Grand Marshal for the Clash at the Coliseum. He's going to Daytona.
He's going to Daytona.
He's going to Daytona.
You're so close. You were so close. You were so close. It's
hold
okay.
On. You know what?
Okay.
I've got a friend. I've got a friend that can help me out.
Daryl,
we're gonna have.
How long? Wait. This is the Daytona 500, isn't it? You bet. Don't tell me it isn't.
Yes, Daryl. It is the Daytona 500. It's a couple weeks away, but yes. We have the Clash on Saturday and Sunday, and then we get the Super Bowl, and then we get Daytona in 2 weeks. While we're talking about the Clash, and we didn't even talk about this in our rundown before the show, I want to throw out a hypothetical here about the Clash. Hear me out. And I'm sure the logistics probably don't work for TV.
Do you mean, really quickly, do you mean that semi-automatic Kelly would perform instead of Machine Gun Kelly? Is that the logistics question you have?
No, I am surprised that LA would allow Machine Gun Kelly into their lovely area. But anyway, picture this. It's kind of weird how they have the Clash and then the Super Bowl and then the Daytona 500. It kind of feels like you're losing a little momentum from NASCAR with the Super Bowl kind of taken away. Yeah, you get the promos and all that. I love seeing those promos, by the way. They're great.
Keep cooking.
Imagine if we put the Clash on the Saturday before the Super Bowl. Listen, what if that, I mean, why not? Why not?
Is it bad that the second you started talking about it, I thought you were going to say after the Super Bowl? Which part of me would love. Just do a late night NASCAR race. Let's let her rip, dude. Who cares? I mean, you've got this huge audience. If the Super Bowl's on, obviously it doesn't work this year because Super Bowl's not on Fox, but it's on CBS. But just think about it. Next year, why don't we just have a great American weekend? Let's do something on Friday. We have a Saturday Cup race at Daytona, and then we go right into the Super Bowl. And then we just declare Monday a national holiday, National Hangover Day, and we all just sit and whatever the heck happened on that weekend, we just chill out and relax. I think we need to start marketing the Great American Weekend. It would be great. And a weekend.
Worst case, you call it the Great American Week, and you have the Super Bowl and then the Daytona 500 on that Sunday afterwards. Then, I mean, I like that. I do. There's something there. I mean, just like I said, the way you have the Clash on Sunday, and then a week after is the Super Bowl, and then your NASCAR season's a gap between the preseason and the first season is the biggest event in American sports. It's tough to kind of keep your momentum from that. So it's just a thought. I was kicking around the idea in my head, and I wanted to see what you thought about it. Because like I said, the Clash this weekend, we're getting cars on tracks.
That's very exciting, Bob. I think, I love it. I love the idea. I think, anytime you can cross market and get, different audience, different eyes on it would be a great thing. It makes sense for Fox to do. Hopefully somebody from Fox hears this podcast. Doubt it. But we'll see. I mean, at this point, Bob, I'm just excited like you are to have cars on track, baby. I got myself 3 tickets. I have no idea who the other 2 people are coming with me because my co-host hates me. But other than that, Bob, we're going to the Coliseum. We're racing in a football stadium for the third year in a row. I don't know whether to be excited, shit, or go blind, but Bob, tell me what to do.
I think I'm glad you're going because it seems like this is probably the last year they're going to do this in LA. This is the end of the 3-year contract that they've done to kind of move the Clash away from Daytona, do something different. I think it's been a success, first of all, but I do think this is probably going to be the last year you're going to see it in LA in that Coliseum venue. So, one, I'm glad that you're going because it's an incredible venue to have NASCAR in it. It's just something you're always going to remember for life. I know when you and me went that first time that it was there in 2021, it was just an incredible event. Or 2022, it was just an incredible event to where you got to see the cars up close in such an iconic venue. It was just so surreal. Did I make a funny?
Remember when we just raw dogged the NASCAR race with no earplugs? We just didn't wear earplugs.
And we were like second row off of the banners.
We were so close to the track and we didn't wear earplugs at all.
And the worst part was, I don't even think our ears were the worst thing that day. It was the sunburn that got us.
Oh,
it was a fucking day. We were baking in there.
I remember sitting in my apartment after that, just eating a pizza and hating our lives because we were so
genuinely
sunburned.
Couldn't even tell you like if I was alive during that moment. Like I felt like I was just kind of floating along in Koreatown in LA. Just I didn't know what side was up, what side was down. Like it was a tough day, but it was a fun day, and I'm excited that you get to experience it because it's the preseason kind of NASCAR is here event. Fox is obviously promoting the crap out of it with their football coverage. It's got a great blend of partnership there. There's a lot to be excited about, whether it's MGK on the performance or Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin recovering from shoulder surgery and testing it out, and and arguably a very, very strenuous activity for him in that tight environment. But I honestly add more than anything, like you said, just cars on track, NASCAR is back. That's the excitement. You had 24 hours today is kind of the kickoff of the North American motorsports calendar, if you will. Didn't get to watch a ton of it. Watched a couple of the coverage. I love just seeing the pictures overnight. You have the Ferris wheel and all the fireworks going, and the cars are all lit up in their neons. The photography is great of that, but it just feels like racing season's back. What are you looking forward to at the Clash next weekend?
I think I'm excited to see some of the new faces and new places. New Noah Gragson, obviously after everything that transpired last year. You can hear the beat that we're dancing around to. I think you know. If you know, you know. But anyway, I don't know. It's just something about the dawn of a new NASCAR season. You never really know who's it's anybody's year. I think my storyline thinking about it is okay. First year without the old guard is Kevin Harvick's gone. Our one final link that we had to old school NASCAR is gone. I think you can officially close the chapter on the golden age. I think we could call it the golden age of NASCAR.
Cup era. The Winston Cup era, probably.
That's fair. We can call it the Winston Cup era. I don't think. Yeah, you're right. The golden era in NASCAR is not quite done yet. I think we still got some of those guys rolling around. So, it's a transition, and like any transition, it's a chance to evaluate things. And I think if you look at NASCAR right now, they are certainly on a launch pad. I have no idea whether or not this rocket ship is going to work or not, but we've got a new TV deal with a few different options for people that mixes in some streaming. I just think there's a lot of really exciting things happening, bringing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to Grand Marshal at Daytona, because I am not going to misspeak this time. I just think for whatever reason, NASCAR is finally seeming to do the things that people have been talking about for years, to where they're trying to get themselves back into mainstream culture. And I hope this start in LA snowballs. I really hope that something happens in this race, there's something that goes on that can get some media traction behind the Clash, and maybe just a highlight, something like that, to hold people over until Daytona. Because if they can find a way to get an audience and really have Daytona spike it, and how do you have that obviously that downward trend in ratings that always happens after Daytona, how do you get those eyeballs to stay there for as many weeks as you possibly can? I'm excited to see if they fix some of the issues with the car. I'm excited to see what, some of the setups look like, if they've done any work with tires. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. Like I said, it's a new NASCAR season, Bob. We've got more questions than answers, and that's kind of exciting.
Will the short tracks be ass again? Tune in next week to find out. I mean, the short track racing has been ass in this next gen car. So, they've done a lot of what's the word here? Off season, I guess. Yeah, off season testing with
off
Goodyear.
season, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it, whatever fancies your boat. But anyway, they've been doing a lot of testing with the Goodyear, with the different things at Phoenix, whether it's different diffusers, bumpers, just aerodynamics. Obviously, I think we all know the elephant in the room is the horsepower. If they can raise the horsepower in these cars, you're going to see better performance. But regardless, you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of excitement just with the newness of a NASCAR season. Hell, you mentioned Noah Gragson. Maybe Ross Chastain will beat the crap out of him at the Clash like he did at Kansas in the race last summer. Maybe we'll get a rematch of that just to fire up some clicks. But you got Kevin Harvick in the booth at Fox. I'm really excited to see what he's like. You said the old guard's gone, but don't worry, he's going to be policing you. He's going to be the principal now. The senior is graduated now, and he's going to be watching over everyone. So, I'm excited to see what that dynamic is. Maybe he can kind of corral Clint Boyer a little bit. Maybe just kind of dad him along. I don't know. But maybe Mike Joy will have a little bit more energy. Fox, you never know what you're going to get there. But there's a lot of excitement with some new faces, like you said. Obviously, Gragson's technically a rookie, but you got Carson Hocevar. I'm really excited to see what he looks like. The guy, polarizing for sure. Even he left the truck series in November. Very, very interesting with that, dust up with Corey Heim in that championship race. But anyway, he's back. You got John Hunter Nemechek with Legacy Motor Club, who's Toyota's now. That's a whole different argument, but you got two new Toyota cars. Toyota's obviously look really good. Toyota and Ford with new cars this year, the Mustang and the Camry with new designs. Will that hinder them? Will that make them better? Historically, the last time Ford did a remake was 2018 with the Mustang when they went from your beloved Ford Fusion to the Ford Mustang. And Ford actually lost a third of their wins compared to the year before. And Toyota gained in that year when they came out with a new car in 2018. So will history repeat itself? We don't have a lot of a sample size, but there's just so much going on here. The new sponsorships, you got Busch Beer with Ross Chastain at Trackhouse. That's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and the money is what drives this sport. Advent Health going from Trackhouse to Legacy. There's just a lot going on here, but I think the biggest one here, and I hate it's going to be ironic because we've given F1 shit for it, the Netflix racing, but it is how you build a younger fan base, a digital fan base, and NASCAR. Their Netflix documentary comes out on Tuesday. If you're listening to this, we're releasing this on either Sunday night, Monday morning. It'll come out on Tuesday, I believe, January the 31st on Netflix. And we are officially a part of the Netflix racing team, I guess. I don't know how to feel.
I'll tell you how to feel. Very excited. And super happy. This was exactly what we wanted. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a lot like teenage girls. If you have something that we do not, we will hate you. And that's how I feel about F1. It's like, look, you had everything I thought NASCAR should have with the Netflix series. Even if you don't like F1, it's good television. It's just fun to watch. So hopefully, I think they've got enough of the creative minds from Netflix. And obviously, I think with having anything you attach Dale Jr. to, you've got my attention. I'll listen to it just based. I think there's a lot of NASCAR fans who feel that way, to where it's like, look, if Dale Jr. gives his endorsement to something, we'll at least give it a shot. And at this point, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm very excited to see what this does. You can only hope that this does a good job of kind of tiding people over and getting those, bringing those viewership in. I mean, it would just be a great thing if they could show some personality here.
And the timing of it, like you said, is perfect, where it comes out on Tuesday. You've got the Clash at the Coliseum on Saturday and Sunday, where you got the heat races on Saturday, the main race on Fox on Sunday night. It's been marketed to a national audience. It's going to be on a national window in front of the first biggest city in America, in LA. I mean, it's a perfect storm to catch at least eyeballs. Now, will they be able to keep those eyeballs? That's hard to say, but you're going to at least get that foot in the door, and that's the start of something, Ad. I mean, even look at you 2 or 3 years ago with the Clash at LA. It worked. It's just getting that foot in the door. You're not going to retain everyone, but you're going to retain some, and that's the key.
Well, that's the thing. It's just the idea that you could stumble into NASCAR. That you and the way that you can stumble into it, and then all of a sudden through watching the Netflix show, hopefully you realize, hey, these guys aren't just going left. They're not just, oh, left turn, and all the stereotypes that come along with NASCAR. There's a lot that goes into this, and there's a lot more that goes into the racing than really meets the eye or really has ever been publicly marketed. There's so much to this sport that I really hope this documentary shines a little bit of a light on it, because there are some very interesting personalities that I hope get a chance to really show what they're all about. I mean, what other sport do you have a guy who was a watermelon farmer driving a bus that all of a sudden is now one of the biggest stars of the sport? I mean, it gives these types of stories, if you market them correctly, give people hope. And hope is a hell of a drug. Just ask Detroit Lions fans. I mean, we just watched them hope their way through a whole season. So I hope that this gives, it's giving me hope, which is, just put it right in my veins, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Content wise, what are you hoping for, Bob? What are you, as a NASCAR fan, what are you hoping that this docuseries shows you? Or what is the thing that you hope that they lead with here?
The two biggest things I want is, and they kind of go hand in hand. The first one is just the behind the scenes look. For someone like you and me, Ad, we crave and devour a lot of NASCAR content, whether it's YouTube, podcast, Twitter, everything. We're in the know about everything. So I want to learn stuff that I don't know about these drivers. I want to see things that I don't know about the shops. When USA had that NASCAR, docuseries, that couple episode thing where it was behind a paywall and all that, you had that one drone shot of Hendrick Motorsports where it went all through everything and it went viral. It was actually a fairly viral clip. And you got to learn about how big that shop is, and how the pit crews are open to the public, and how there's thousands of employees in this shop, or hundreds. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a massive, massive number. You get to learn about that. But the other thing is accessibility, and this goes hand in hand with, in my opinion, the American demographic on Netflix. And maybe I'm wrong here, but people like people that are understandable, that they're within reach, they're accessible, they're similar to you and me. And these guys, yeah, they're driving 200 miles an hour and they're gladiators, and yeah, they're losing 7-8 pounds a race, but they're driving Toyota Camrys, they're driving Ford Mustangs, they're driving Chevy Camaros. These are cars on American streets. They're in 36. There's 36 there's 36 races in America. It's in your backyard, no matter where you're at in the country for the most part. I mean, it's all right there. It's all very relatable for a lot of Americans. Whereas F1, you're driving these rocket ships that are, aerodynamically sound, where even a small piece of carbon fiber is millions of dollars. The technology on the steering wheel, it's hard to relate to that as, the common person. But you show them, hey, I'm driving fast in a Chevy Camaro, you're going to understand it a little bit easier. And so I'm interested in that, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is something to be said about, it's not quite to the level of golf, because I think golf is the reason golf is appealing to a lot of people is it's one of the only sports to where, as you're watching professionals play on television, you can go to a golf course and try and do the same exact thing, or you can try and hit the same exact shots. Obviously not as effectively, but NASCAR's got a little bit of that, because everybody, I mean, if you live in America, there's a strong chance you drive a car. And there's a strong chance it's either a Chevy, a Ford, or a Toyota. I mean, that's just the way that, that's just the way our car market's always been.
And again, one of these guys was a damn watermelon farmer 5 years ago. He was a literal common man. He was driving the bus for people. Like, it's not like this is some guy who was spoon-fed and went through the go-karts world all the way through F1. Everyone in F1 is spoon-fed and has never worked a common job. They go-kart their entire lives because they are predetermined. They have the money to, and they're predetermined to drive for their life. Someone like Ross Chastain, a lot of these NASCAR drivers are blue-collar families. Someone like Denny Hamlin, he didn't grow up in a rich family. He was just a short track kid, and his dad basically mortgaged his whole life for his son. That doesn't happen in a lot of sports. So it's so much more relatable than I think people realize. Like you said, Ad, yeah, there's a big scientific part of it. They're not just going left, and that's the fun part for you and me. But a lot of people just see, oh, they're going fast, they're going left, and there's so much more to that. There's personalities, there's nuances to it, and at the end of the day, like you said, we all, for the most part in American culture, drive cars. We can understand, instead of driving rocket ships, we can understand driving a Chevy.
Yeah, I just think, I'm just excited to hopefully see some of the personalities. I mean, even the little bits that NASCAR guys have shown us in the past, just think of any video that we've seen of Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace doing just about anything together. I mean, they're hysterical.
They do hair metal band. They're a hair metal band on the off season. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like there's just enough colorful characters that I really think putting them in front of an audience and letting them just show themselves and be themselves, I'm hopeful. And, hope is a hell of a drug, Bob. So we're just going to keep hoping until the 31st. And don't worry, we'll be back next week to let you know all about it. Because if you don't think we're binge watching this, you've got another thing coming.
I would like to think that we're both done with the series. I think it's 5 45-minute episodes, I think is what I've read on Tuesday. So if we can get that done before, the Clash recap on Sunday night, I would appreciate that. Listen, this is a co-podcaster. I'm not giving you homework, but I'm giving you homework.
Yeah, we can figure that out for sure.
Yeah, that's a text thing. But we're gonna lay down the law in front of the people.
No, we'll figure that out. I can move that around. That's for sure. We can do that. That would make sense. I think making people wait would be dumb. So I agree with you 100%. We should do a midweek, especially a recap on that.
We'll give them that for sure. Obviously, we got to The Rock being the Grand Marshal of the Daytona 500. We've got Bob versus the the Kansas City Circus. I will say, Sam Upman does not count in that circus. He is still a friend of the podcast. But,
yeah, nothing but good things to say about Sam Upman. Sam, I hope you're doing well, buddy.
Yep, Sam. That message you sent
actually,
about.
Why the fuck did I say that, Sam? I know you're doing well. Congratulations, dude. I don't know why I even said hope. Good job.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on here for just a brief moment. Was that an olive branch extended to your, in theory, rival Sam Upman? Are you extending an olive branch?
There's some thorns on it, but it's an olive branch nonetheless. I mean, yeah, it's fine. If he comes too far towards the tree, there may be some sort of defense mechanism. But for now, yeah, that is an olive branch.
Well, I would expect nothing less than your olive branch to have thorns. I mean, that's pretty on par. But
yeah,
he did have a lovely message about the KC Chiefs. I won't read it all, but it was quite poetic. He has a nuke quote named Patrick Mahomes. This war will be won by KC. Travis Kelce is a god-dang superstar that got the girl and is the greatest tight end of all times. Brittany Mahomes, you hate to admit, isn't that bad. And, quote, I have an army of women that are supporting my side, and that's scarier than anything you could say about my team. Long live Patrick Mahomes. Sam Upman, I love your enthusiasm. I have nothing else to add to that, but God bless you, Sam Upman. It's the hope that kills, Ad. You said it.
It is always the hope that kills, and I even think he's got a little more than hope at this point. I mean,
he's got 2 Super Bowls and a World Series ring in the last 10 years. He's doing okay.
Things are going okay. Yeah, things have been okay for Mr. Upman. But Bob, anything we need to touch on before we put a bow on this thing and wrap up?
I think we're good. Glad to not be snowed in. The South is finally thawed out, I think, Ad. So that means that. Well, no, I'm looking at snow. No, I'm kidding. It's actually I think 45 and sunny out there, even though it's dark out. But I'll take anything I can get. I'm just 45. Glad to be able to drive my car because let me tell you, it was not Honda Civic season out there.
Gonna say 45
bet that sunshine in California looked pretty damn good out there. That 75 and sunny looked pretty good out in LA there.
80 degrees and sunny today simply could not be me, Bob. Could not be me. So, yeah, kind of wild. I mean, what a place to live. I mean, just the weather. It's great.
Hey, soon I'll be out there though. We'll get to do a firm handshake and a job well done on a welcome back for Breaking Ball. So I can't wait for that, Ad.
Yep.
Until then, is there anything else? Yeah, we get to watch the Super Bowl together.
Yeah,
that's gonna be exciting.
Fun this year. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's exciting. But is there anything else that we've missed here? I've got, I think, pretty much everything. Tony Romo is out there, probably still questioning life. But other than that, we've got the Chiefs. We've got the 49ers, the Super Bowl. We've got the Clash. And we've got Breaking Balls, ladies and gentlemen. We're back.
Oh, we are very back. And Bob, I conclude this podcast with one last question for you. Why you got to be so mean?